There was 5% that was your stuff. So sometimes whatever is ready to heal within you is reflected so-called out there, and there's a resonance of that. So it's really rare for us to see that it's 100% somebody else's stuff. It's really rare. We can get as low as 2 or 3%, but it's almost never zero.
The information provided on the Autoimmune Hour, Understanding Autoimmune, and Life Interrupter Radio, including the websites, plus social media and other media outlets, is based on experience only. The information should never be used for any legal, diagnostic, or treatment purposes. Is for educational purposes only.
Welcome, everyone, to the Autoimmune Hour. I'm Sharon Saylor from SharonSaylor.com and, of course, from UnderstandingAutoimmune.com. And it's my pleasure to be with you here on another brand new episode. And I'm super excited about this one because this is something in the over 500 plus episodes we haven't talked about. So I think it's really important to let's talk about it now. And what I found on my journey of healing in the past decade is that things open up when they're supposed to open up. I know that sounds strange, but I have met people when I was supposed to meet them. I'm thinking back at some of my healers that I've met and my healing team that I've met. I'm not sure I would have been ready for them previously. And then at that moment when I met them, it was like, yeah, this is the right place to be. And so I'm super excited about tonight because this is also a new challenge for me, a new space for me to understand what we're going to talk about tonight. And I'm super excited about tonight's guest because this is an area I haven't delved into before. I've been around the periphery of it. I have a very rudimentary understanding of it. So I'm super excited to dive deep into an expert in the field. And her name is Dr. Karen Kanji, and she is a doctor of light medicine and a visionary in healing, consciousness, and spirituality. Let me read her bio because it's just amazing. She's a 5-time #1 bestselling author and the star of the award-winning documentary, The Inside Effects, with IN, inside being capitalized there, The Inside Effects, How the Body Heals Itself. And Dr. Karen is on a mission to empower sensitive souls to embrace their sensitivity and superpowers. Her true passion lies in guiding people to collectively illuminate the world, lifting it out of darkness, and anchoring a new reality of heaven on earth. In her role as founder of the Academy of Light Medicine, Dr. Karen teaches a transformative 3-step TOLPAKAN. I hope I pronounced that right. We'll get Dr. Karen to tell us. And it's a healing method where you align with divine wisdom, ask for divine muscle testing, and activate higher in vibrational healing frequencies. And her work is all about tapping into your spiritual supercomputer, much like Yoda, okay? So we'll go there. And she guides us to become our own Jedi masters of self-healing journey. So welcome, Dr. Karen. Thanks for being on the show.
Hey, thank you so much, Sharon. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm excited for our conversation today.
Oh, absolutely. So am I. And as I said, the interesting thing about my journey is the people appear when they're supposed to appear. Now, that might not be a surprise to someone such as yourself, but I just want my community to understand that this is all about our growth and our understanding of things. And I have found that just as when I'm needing certain things, they arrive in my world, and it's up to me to whether to step in and go, oh, this is interesting, or do I want to stay? I don't like the word stuck. I'll say, do I want to stay where I am? Because I've had this feeling of sometimes I get stuck in a place where I'm going, this is good enough. The rest feels like too much right now. So I want to talk to you about, we've had guests on who have talked about highly sensitive people. And I feel like you take that to a whole new level of what is a highly sensitive person, because I have to raise my hand that when we had Linda Binns and a couple of other experts on about highly sensitive people, I was like, oh, yep, check the box. However, we're going to talk at a much deeper level about people with sensitivities and what that means to them and their healing. So let's just jump in, explain a little bit about what you do. And I'd love to know a little bit of background as how did you become aware of your superpower?
Thank you so much for asking. My mother is highly sensitive, and all throughout my childhood, I saw her being made fun of for her sensitivity, for her psychicness. And sometimes it was a little overboard, I got to tell you. I wanted to be everything but that. I tried to be tough, and my first husband was really helpful in helping me grow a quote unquote thicker skin. However, that wasn't my true nature. So I've come all the way around to really honor and respect that those of us who are highly sensitive, I call them sensitive souls, actually are very gifted in many ways. It's just that our society doesn't necessarily cater to our sensitivity. And in fact, at least at this moment, there are a lot of things in our everyday society that are harmful. And even non sensitive souls are being harmed, but they don't know that they are. So the sensitive souls tend to be like I don't really like this description, but people understand it, the canaries in the coal mine. We have the
Yes.
canaries, and if the canaries die, that means, oh, there's toxic gas. Let's get out of here. So the sensitive souls are the ones that are like, hey, this doesn't feel good. And we are becoming more and more aware and respectful of sensitive souls. Thankfully, as a retired medical doctor, it wasn't that long ago that the diagnosis of, say, fibromyalgia would be met with like eye roll from some of the
Absolutely.
older, shall I say, male doctors. No offense to the guys here. They would eye roll because they're like, ah, you're just making this up. But
Hysterical woman, hysterical
right,
person.
it's all in your head, all this kind of stuff. So it's been really difficult for sensitive souls, especially male sensitive souls, to be honest and authentic around how they really feel because they think there's something wrong with them that they need to be fixed. So that's why I'm here is to say, hey, your sensitivity is actually a superpower, and I'm here to teach you how to navigate your sensitivity so that you can have healthy boundaries, and not just physical or relational boundaries, but spiritual boundaries, energetic boundaries, dimensional boundaries, emotional boundaries, mental boundaries. And that way you can thrive and do what you really love, what you're here to do, which is, to me, is to shine your light so that others can shine theirs as well. And we can co-create a peaceful new reality, I like to say, if we're all shining our lights and all being able to be who we really are, sensitive or non-sensitive, and getting along. So that's where my passion is. And I love this journey. There's about 30%, according to Dr. Elaine Aron's most recent research, of us on the planet who are highly sensitive. It used to be 20% in the 70s, 80s. The most recent research from 2018 was 30%. And I know because I asked for people for the paper for my book, and they sent me the most recent research. So with that, I'll just be quiet for a bit and just let you ask away whatever you'd like to ask.
A couple of questions came up about the 30%. Are more sensitives being born, or we just getting better at acknowledging them?
It could be a little bit of both. I think there is a lot more openness to things that traditionally were not seen as a thing. So, like I said, those medical doctors that were in their 70s and 80s to make fun of us. And for the most part, I think most medical doctors now recognize things like fibromyalgia is a real thing. It's not just something somebody made up just to give the doctor a hard time. Are they difficult patients? Classically, yes. So I think there is more recognition. But when and we will demonstrate how we do that today. When I go into the still point and connect to source, I actually asked that question one day. And this is before I got the email back from Dr. Elaine Aron's people because I was looking for the paper that said it was 20% and I couldn't find it on her website. So they said, give us a moment and we'll get back to you. In the meantime, I tuned in to the 0 point field, basically the stillness, some people will call it. And I just thought, let me ask source. I said, so what percentage of the population currently is what I would consider highly sensitive based on Elaine Aron's quiz? And I got 33. And I was like,
Wow.
she said 20. So then I asked, why is it 33? These are quality questions. You can actually, everyone can tune into source and ask your own quality questions, as long as you're as neutral as you can be without being attached to the outcome. We can do divine muscle testing. There's different, I teach you how to do that in the book. The answer was that there are more being born. So there's a degree of, we're recognizing it more. Just the more we look for it, there's more that comes, but there is something about the new children, and people will recognize the new children because more and more children are being born who are very peaceful They don't take the advertising, and we're talking young children here up to the preteens, they're just not that interested. Whereas the generation before, or maybe a couple generations before, they were all like, "Oh, I want to be famous. I want to be TikTok famous." And some of them are sensitive souls as well. And they got swept away by society. But some of the newest children are very grounded in their awareness of who they are, and they don't take any BS. They can see right through that stuff, but they're really kind about it. Whereas the sensitive souls who are now 70s and 80s, they had a really rough time because no one understood them, no one believed them, and they're, let's just say, a little edgy sometimes.
Yeah, that was the era of pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
Yes,
Get over
yes.
it. You're fine.
That's right. And they were actually here. Dolores Cannon's Three Waves of Volunteers is a great book. I often refer to that because she talks about there's a first wave of volunteers who are my sensitive souls, who are in the 60s, 70s, 80s, who were the pioneers, right? Grit, get through this, make it happen, make changes in the world. I sometimes call them my indigos or my indigo souls. And then there's the second wave of volunteers who are there to bridge that gap between being and doing. So they're sensitive, but they're not in that fight mode. That is not necessarily their thing, but they have an action. I'm a second wave volunteer. And the third wave, and I'm paraphrasing what Dolores Cannon said, but the third wave are more souls that are just here to be the frequency of love. So they're not fighting, they're not trying to make a new reality through their action per se. They're just being and holding and anchoring that space of love. And that helps everyone else do that. So a lot of our new children are doing that. So I'm excited for our future.
I've always practiced the power of holding space and grace for myself and others. And that's powerful. It's very exciting to hear that there's a whole new generation coming up where that's the primary focus, because oftentimes I find holding space and love and grace for people and yourself. A lot of people say we're not doing anything, but you are. And it's amazing how expansive it can be. I've had times where I'm doing it for myself and maybe very specifically for someone else who's in crisis of some sort. And yet I often notice that for several ripples around me, things start to
Yeah.
change. And I find that so fascinating that it can be with a central, maybe I'll say grounded or intentional or physical outcome, and how it has ripple effects beyond where I had put my focus.
I love that. Yes, and we are seeing that even more now because there is some sort of expansion. Some people call it ascension. There is some sort of evolution of our reality. And what I find is sensitive souls, if they have not, as adults, if they have not had, number one, acknowledging that they're highly sensitive, number two, honoring that they are, and number three, honing these gifts, it can feel really challenging right now. Now, you've been working at this for a while, but imagine someone who has tried to suppress who they really are. In this world with all the violence, the seemingly negative things, it's only because it's clearing. Okay, it seems like the world's getting worse, right? If they believe that, it can be super hard on them and they can go into depths of depression, even suicidality, anxiety, and physical autoimmunity is one of them because when I worked with highly sensitive souls who have an autoimmune diagnosis, what I discovered was not only do they have physical autoimmunity, but if they have seen a naturopath and done a lot of work on themselves in the physical realm, they actually have very little physical autoimmunity, but they may have a lot of other types of autoimmunity that I call emotional autoimmunity, mental autoimmunity, energetic autoimmunity, dimensional autoimmunity, and even spiritual autoimmunity. There's parts of them that are sensing things going on, and it may not be even in their local environment because quantum is non-local. So they can actually feel stuff going on over there in the Ukraine. They can feel what's happening to their parents. They can feel an earthquake about to happen. They can feel something from another timeline. It can get crazy, and that can cause an autoimmune type reaction. So it's fascinating.
That's totally fascinating. And I'm curious, as just a layperson myself, and yes, I have been practicing types of these things for a long time, but I'm constantly learning and constantly being fascinated and have multiple aha moments all the time. And is it important that we sort it? Like this is an internal versus an external versus a way over there external. Is it important that we sort it? Or
Yeah, that's a
how do we
great
stay sane through it
question.
all? I guess is where I'm going.
Yeah, that's a great question. So thank you for asking that. It really has to do with our purpose here on earth and our spiritual, like I like to say, responsibility. In the past, I call it a healing type. And right now, I've described about 5 healing types, but it's better to rename them spiritual responsibility types because the higher up you go, the more likely you are required to figure stuff out to create a solution for the greater whole. So those with less spiritual responsibility, and sensitive souls generally have quite a bit of spiritual responsibility in general, but say it was at the lower level of that responsibility, they may just need to know stuff about themselves and that's it. They may not need to know about their ancestral trauma patterns or what's going on the moon or things like that. But as we go higher in the responsibility scale, because those souls, for those that believe in reincarnation, for those souls that came into this human body this time around, they've done easy in other timelines. They've been there, done that. So they've asked for a challenge. They've volunteered to be challenged so that they can evolve themselves and therefore evolve the collective. And a lot of us have that mission to evolve the collective consciousness wise and other ways. Yeah, some of us do need to know more fantastical things. But one really key question, and if you're folks that are listening and write this down, one of the things you can commonly ask is if we're feeling something that's uncomfortable, and especially in the body, we don't really like it, wondering, oh, is this part of my autoimmune or not? One very good quality question you can ask is, whose stuff is this? Meaning that whatever it is I'm feeling, whether that be emotionally or physically or whatever, the negative thoughts, whose stuff is this? Even asking that question, those with lower levels of responsibility, that'll be enough to release it. Just the awareness that it might not be yours in this body, in this timeline. It might belong to Mother Earth rebalancing. It might belong to the country of China. It might be just the awareness that it might not be personal to you is often enough just to release that awareness. It's like honing your superpowers to go, not our stuff, so don't really need to feel it. So
So that's
asking that question
fascinating
can be
to
key
me.
for a lot of people.
I like that. Whose stuff is this? I think where I get personally confused is maybe an answer will come back that it's not my stuff exactly, but then maybe I'm like fantasticalizing this whatever, and I'm like, I have grandchildren, and so maybe I'm feeling responsible because not for me, it's not my stuff exactly, like gripping onto it, but there's enough of my community, my loved ones, the ripple effect that I feel responsible for. So I guess am I overthinking the responsibility parts? Because sometimes parts of me get so, I'll call it righteous indignation. I just want to change the whole world right now.
Yeah, that's your typical sensitive soul on some level. Definitely wants to change the world. And that is, we feel a bit strange. The last few years have been very strange for many of us, whereby we assume or think that everybody wants the world to be better in a certain way. We abhor the violence and the cheating, the lying, like all this stuff going on. And sometimes it can be really painful for us to see the world in a way where we on some level, no, it doesn't have to be that way. So for you to
Exactly.
feel your children, grandchildren, totally get it. And that may be in your sphere of influence of your mission. For example, healing type or spiritual responsibility types 3, 4, 5 will have a bigger outside the self responsibility. Some type 3s might be responsible for healing Mother Earth. Some may be there to support their ancestry or family line. Some may be there to work with all of humanity. I know that sounds humongous, and you're like, what do the 4s and 5s do if the 3s are doing that, right? Yeah, but just briefly, the type 4s do all of that. And sometimes they're responsible for the creation of new patterns. I call them morphic fields in time space. They can reach multiversal, even infiniversal, my word for everything on everything that's manifest. In reality, they could be making shifts there. And then the level 5s, which recently came about, that extra evolution. I'm a 5. We're responsible for anchoring in the reality that people have more or less voted on, like that peace, love, joy, prosperity for all. So our job is to be and resonate that frequency, calling people into that resonance, which is harder than it looks, actually. So you may very well have that responsibility for your family. It's certainly not wrong. And what I teach in the divine muscle testing really is tuning into source and then just asking that quality question. Like, how much of whatever it is I'm feeling right now belongs to family or ancestry? And we get a percentage out of 100%. And then the question, whose stuff is this? In TOLPAKAN Healing, there is a protocol called the TKH, which means TOLPAKAN Healing, empathic assessment. And it really starts really simple. So if people are already able to tune in to the still point, can muscle test now, you can ask this now. What percentage, whatever I'm feeling right now, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, energetic, dimensional, whatever, is my stuff from this body and timeline, right? Get a percentage out of 100%. If it's less than 100%, then that means the other percent is everything else, or everything outside of you in this timeline. It could be past life, future life, dimensional life. It could be a soul destiny partner, somebody that you have had sort of a soul contract to help, or vice versa. But it could be a lot of sensitive souls feeling stuff they're not supposed to be feeling. Mass consciousness is a biggie, because that don't feel very good. And sometimes we don't have good enough boundaries to know that we are feeling the masses and the depression, the anxiety. And I had a couple of friends that, one was a nurse friend who's we met and we doing some great work in our nursing, and all of a sudden everything stops. I said, what's going on? And she goes, I'm so depressed I can't function. I'm like, do you mind if I test you? And she goes, please do. So I test. I said, it's 90% not your stuff. You are resonating with mass consciousness. And this is in the height of COVID. So I was like, okay, you need to read this chapter and work on this, clearing what's not your stuff, which is like chapter 7, I think. Anyway, yeah, she's much better. But the point is that she had no idea it wasn't her stuff. The depression, the anxiety was not her stuff. She was literally feeling the emotions of the masses. But that one question, whose stuff is this? Had she known to ask that, she could have got a percentage of whether what she was feeling, that depression, was her stuff or not her stuff. And then TOLPAKAN Healing, of course, we can go deeper and go, if it's not your stuff, are you supposed to feel it? If you are, you're probably supposed to heal it. If you're not supposed to feel it, shore up your boundaries.
Let's play. I want to hear some of these questions. We'll see.
Yeah,
Community, I'm going to fasten my seatbelt here and strap in, because I don't know where we're going. But I'm fascinated. I love the question, whose stuff it is. I think it's a great question, even beyond this certain realm. I would love to ask that to numerous people, even people that I'll say that I am not aware of their sensitivity level. Lately, I have had a lot of acquaintances just in my mind go off the deep end. And I love that question. I wrote it down, and I'm going to be asking that to certain people in my world. Is this really your stuff?
And we talked earlier before we hit record that you'd be willing to be the demo.
Yep.
So we can do some assessments, and then, being a sensitive soul yourself, you can just feel into the body. And anything that we come up with, if it doesn't resonate with you, that's okay. Like, you'll just let me know. I'm not attached to being right. It's just, we do as best we can to be as neutral as we can. And how we do that is getting into the body and feeling the energy in the body, comfortable or not comfortable. Then we can ask this quality question. And with your permission, I can then I'll do a little mini version of my autoimmune mini assessment, where we can talk about what kinds of autoimmune might still be there left, if you're open to that.
Oh, absolutely. As I said, okay, everybody, fasten your seatbelts.
Yeah, that's right. Fasten your seatbelt. Okay, so we're going to go into the still point together, and that includes everybody watching right now, because there actually is no time space. It's just a construct for us to live our human physical existences. Even if you're watching this way later than when we recorded it, you can still get into the 0 point with us together. So I encourage everyone, if you're not driving, to participate if you'd like. So Sharon, we're going to start with rubbing our hands. So this is an optional step, but it really gets people into the body, because they said, oh, my body, okay, I feel some heat, there's something going on in my hands, right? We're activating the energy system of the body because we're moving. People could also jump up and down and dance, but then you wouldn't see me on camera.
And I want to say, it's for those listening on audio, it's like my hands are in prayer pose and you're just rubbing up and down.
Yeah,
as if your hands were cold and you're just warming them
exactly up. If your hands are cold. Okay, just relax. Normally you don't have to do it that long, but we were talking. So relax and close your eyes. It's safe for you to do. Start to focus on the hands, like almost underneath the skin. And see if you can feel any sort of movement underneath the skin. It could feel like tingles, waves, heat, cool, pulsing, anything at all. It doesn't really matter what the description is. And see if you can not just focus on it, feel it, but follow the flow of it. Because for many people, it starts to travel. So just start.
Feels like large waves.
Yeah, perfect. That's great. That's great.
Going from the wrist to the out of the fingertips. It's an unusual feeling.
And you may notice it traveling to other parts of the body as well. Or not. We don't have to change it. We don't have to make it anything in particular. So Sharon, you can actually stay resting here and just continue following that flow. I am going to start to do some divine muscle testing. And for this, I usually use a little finger rub test, which is really hard to see on camera, unfortunately, when I'm going to ask questions and then
I don't know why. I couldn't hear you. I've lost. Can you talk? I can't hear you. I don't know what changed.
Oh, I think maybe there was an internet.
A hiccup of some sort. That was very weird. It says recording in progress. I'm hoping that we're still recording here. Okay. Okay.
Well, probably we need to protect your router and that from the intense dimensional energies that we're running.
Oh, okay. I'm not sure how to do that.
Yeah, let me take us an aside here and let's see. Show me yes, show me no. Okay, good. My name is Karen Kanji. Yes, my name is not Karen Kanji. No. All right. Karen Kanji proxying, partial proxying, reverse, partially reverse. No. Okay, so I can muscle test now. How many reasons are there that Sharon's internet or my internet, whatever, we disconnected for a moment? One reason. Okay. Is it related to Sharon's side or my side? Your side? Okay, is it related to internet? No. Router? No. Telephone? No. Computer? Yes, computer. Okay, I'm getting yes on computer. Related to something like hardware, physical? No. Okay, related to something energetic? Yes. Okay. Is it related to the port where your headset is plugged in? No. Is it related to the audio driver? No. Video driver? Yes, video driver. How happy is Sharon's video driver in her computer that she's using right now? 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 50, 50% happy. Do we need to know why it's not happy? No. Okay. Well, we'll attempt to do a mini healing on it. Of course, obviously you're using it and we're not going to reboot. Can't hurt. All right. So I'm going to ask my source team to go ahead and do whatever healing you can do on Sharon's computer and the video driver. Let me know when you're done. I'm getting a yes. Okay, great. How happy is Sharon's driver now? Video driver 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 99, 99. Okay, it's better than what it was. So 99% happy. So is there any other reason why our recording would be stalled? I'm not getting anything at the moment. So we can go back to where we were.
Yeah, okay, I'm blown away. Let's go ahead.
Okay, I know that was super fast.
I'm just totally fascinated by that, but I'm also fascinated by, I'll do my own meditations onto the why, but let's go.
Great. So I'm using my fingers here. A yes in divine muscle testing for me is a sticky feeling, like my two fingers are stuck with glue. And a no, it's like they're magnets of the same pole and they're not wanting to come together. It's slippery. So that's how I feel. It's very subtle, but it's super fast doing it this way. There are other methods in the book. We talk about divine muscle testing through the body sway method, which is the easiest for people to learn. Of course, if you take a 5-year-old, they can learn all the methods in about 5 minutes, right? But adults, oh, I can't do this. And they get into their head. So we share the easiest one in the book. But I'm using a more sophisticated one. It's very subtle, but very fast because it takes me a while to sway. So for the purposes of keeping our time efficient, I'll just use my usual finger method here. Okay, so let's start again. We'll go and just be in the moment, be in the body. relax. If it's close your eyes, if it's safe for you to do, feel any energy or movement or waves or tingles coming from the hands or wherever you moved. Follow that flow wherever it goes. So focus, feel, and flow. And continue following that flow. And I'm just double checking my muscle testing. Show me a yes, that's a strong response. Show me a no, that's a weak response. Okay, great. Awesome. I already did my pre-checks, so I won't do those again. So I'm going to ask for Sharon. Perhaps, Sharon, you can give me a time, a day where, may not be today, it can be, but a day in the recent past that you didn't feel like yourself, like you felt funny, like you felt either pain or down or fatigued or something like that. And we can do the empathic assessment and see if it was your stuff.
I'm not remembering the exact. I remember it was a Tuesday about 4 weeks ago.
Okay, so good enough.
I don't remember
Tuesday,
the date, the actual date, but I know it was a Tuesday about 4 weeks ago.
Okay, so I'm going to ask Source, do you know which day that Sharon's talking about? Yes. Okay, great. Awesome. All right. So the magic question, whose stuff is this? So we want to know how much of whatever Sharon was feeling that she was uncomfortable feeling actually belonged to her in this body and timeline. 50, nope, 40, nope, 30, 20, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. 5% your stuff. Okay. So that means 95% other stuff. So we can unpack in this assessment protocol from TOLPAKAN Healing, we can unpack what the 95% represents. So that 95%, I'm going to do the fast way. How many others was Sharon feeling? 2 others. Okay, so there's 2. Was she feeling, let's do the common ones. Mass consciousness? No. Family? No. Earth? Okay, so something to do with Earth. And what's the other one? All of humanity? No. Let's see, what else could it be? Is it cosmic? Yes. Okay. So solar, moon, solar system, universal, multiversal. Oh, wow. Okay. Multiversal. Okay. What healing type is Sharon? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So you're a high healing type, hence the multiversal response, feeling multiversal stuff. Okay. So 95% was related to Earth and the multiverse that you were feeling. Now, here's the magic question too. Is Sharon, or was Sharon, supposed to feel that for her highest good then? Getting a yes. Okay, so most people have like unhealthy boundaries, but in your case, it's yes. Is there a reason why? Yes. Okay, are you soul destiny partners with one of them? No. Were you supposed to heal them? Yes. Did you complete healing them? Yes. Okay. So some of your energy was used to heal or rebalance the earth and the multiverse. I'm getting a yes. And how long did it take you, without knowing that you were doing that? How long did it take you in earth time? Like more than a day? Nope, less than a day. Yes, more than an hour. Yes, 2, 3, 4, 5. About 5+ hours to do that. But you did it automatically and it's complete. Okay, well done. Thank you very much for your service. So that's a real quick who stuff is it assessment for you. And let's go and segue to the autoimmune mini assessment, unless you want to ask a question about what we just did.
I did want to ask a question. I agree with most of that, but I have a little yes and. I did learn a lot out of it. So part of it was for me, right?
I was like, you had a role in
situation.
healing this other big thing, but most people don't necessarily. Most of the time it's because their boundaries are weak. And that's why they're feeling other people's stuff.
Okay. I did learn a lot. I was like, oh, okay. There was a lot of awareness that I gained out of that incident. And I was just curious when you said it wasn't, I don't know, my stuff or whatever, but I thought, yeah, at the time it was like, ugh. But in hindsight now, I'm like, yeah, I learned a lot out of that.
Yeah, and also there was 5% that was your stuff. So sometimes whatever is ready to heal within you is reflected so-called out there, and there's a resonance of that. So it's really rare for us to see that it's 100% somebody else's stuff. It's really rare. We normally we can get as low as 2 or 3%, but it's almost never 0. So there is some sort of thing relative to the human in this body and timeline that is related to whose other stuff they're feeling, but that percentage can fluctuate.
Okay. Well, that makes sense, because I was like, well, personally, I feel like I learned more than 5% about myself. But in hindsight, now that I've had time to incorporate and think and meditate and get out in nature about it, it wasn't fun then. I was like, okay, wow, those are things I'm glad I know now.
Yeah, I think that's all good. And I think what you said about going out in nature is very important for sensitive souls, because we are in a technocratic world, and that is not the most nurturing for sensitive souls, being by nature, trees, rivers, ocean, mountains. That is really healing for us, and it brings us back to our center. So that I highly encourage people to do. And the other thing too is sometimes we will personalize our experience so it makes sense to us. So in other words, it could be other people's stuff, but you didn't know that then. So all you got was, I don't know what's going on with me. And you make sense of it. And you're like, that does make sense. And I did learn from that. As long as it serves you, it doesn't actually matter whose stuff it is. Right?
I wasn't carrying the load of the stuff. And was it a fun thing to go through? No, but in hindsight, I'm like, okay, there's a lot more information I have now that will be useful in the future.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's a really great way of showing people to how to reframe everything, because that is in and of itself a very higher level awareness to go, we are all one after all, even though we're in this individuated body. So, if something happens that we don't like or do not prefer, I got this from Eldon Taylor, Choices and Illusions. In his book, he says, I can't wait to see what good comes out of this.
I guess I feel that way too.
Yeah, T. Harv Eker said, he's a prosperity teacher. He used to say, everything happens for a reason. That reason is there to serve me. So if we make up a story that maybe it is our stuff and this is how it's serving us, that's okay. It's serving you, right? And that reframe is super helpful. Not everybody is trained or practiced in doing that. That's where coaches come in, mentors, healers, right? To help people get to that place where they can be really uncomfortable and be able to go, I have no idea why I have a fever and body aches all over. I must be healing. Okay, I'm just going to enjoy this. This is literally what I did one time. I had flu-like symptoms, but then at that point realized, based on what I had learned up to that point, was like, oh, that's the healing reaction, not the sickness. I used to say, oh, I'm sick. I'm like, well, I'm not going to affirm that anymore, because now I know that's the body actually healing. So I'm going to announce, oh, my body's healing right now. So I just laid down. I was like, I'm just going to enjoy this fever. Woo!
I love that.
Enjoy
that.
Enjoy it.
Yeah.
You're in a human body. You're having a human experience. Woo! Let's go. It makes life so much easier and things resolve. So you did a great job in reframing your experience in a way that serves you. And that's a fantastic example for people.
Okay. Now we're going to jump into the autoimmunity assessment, right?
Yeah, we're going to jump into autoimmune assessment. What we're going to do first is we'll have you tune back into the body, just feeling any movement or energy. Now, I can do this while I'm talking. It's a little higher level or more experienced level to do it, but just tune in back into the body. What we're going to do is we're going to ask if you have any sort of autoimmunity of any type. And if so, we're going to put a number to it. So 0 means zero autoimmune reaction, autoimmunity in that particular body that we're asking. And then 10 would be the worst it could ever be. So the first is we're going to ask the physical body for this body and timeline. How high, if any, autoimmune score do you have? We'll start with 10. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. So tiny bit, so about 2 out of 10 physically. Let's go to the next body, the emotional body. Where are you in the autoimmune score? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. So it's usually for sensitive souls a little higher because they're not aware that their emotional body is having an autoimmune reaction. How about the energetic body for Sharon? 10, 9, 8, 8. Okay, that's the higher one. And what about spiritual? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 1. Okay, awesome. And dimensionally, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Okay, 6 out of 10. So we're all over the place, but the spiritual autoimmunity was the lowest, which is a good sign too, because when the spiritual autoimmunity is high, that means that there may be negative spirits or energies related to that in your field. And that's why you're reacting to it, but you only have a 1 out of 10 there. So that's good.
Oh, that's good to know. Yeah,
so we did get that there is some degree of physical, emotional, energetic, spiritual, dimensional, and finally, let's do mental autoimmunity. Do you have any mental autoimmunity? Yes. Okay. Let's start with 0. 0, 1, 2. 2 out of 10. Okay, 2 out of 10. Okay, great. Now, the other thing we do in the autoimmune mini assessment is we check in to see how many infections or hidden infections. We're using a Western understanding of that at this point, and just seeing if there's any left to heal. And now, this case, we're looking for physical infections. Is that okay to assess for you?
Yes.
Okay. So physical infections for Sharon for this body and timeline. How many are left to heal? Any? Yes. Okay. Let's start with 10. Nope. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 3. Okay. 3 infections. And are they parasites? Yes. How many are parasites? 1, 2. 2 are parasites. Any viruses? Bacteria. Okay. So 1's bacteria and 2 parasites. Yes. I got a yes. And how healed are they? Give me the least to the most. So least healed, 30%. And what's the most healed? 80% healed. Okay. So one of them is 30% healed, the other is 80% healed. So let's just check your physical immune system balance. So your physical immune system, how balanced and happy is it? 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 80, about 80% happy. Okay. And then we have your energetic immune system. In Chinese medicine, they call it the Wei Qi field. How happy and balanced is that? 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 70, 70. Okay, so 70% happy. So we would like your immune system to be happier, more balanced, etc. And then you've probably heard of leaky gut, right?
Yep.
A lot of people, yeah. So we can actually ask your gut how intact it is. Okay, so gut lining for this body and timeline. How healthy and intact are you right now? 83. Okay, I like things over 95%, but 83 is pretty good. And last but not least, let's check your microbiome in the gut. So these are the trillions of other organisms, and that could include the parasite and bacteria, but there's other species in there that are for your highest and greatest good. Without all those trillions of other organisms in our bodies, we would not live. So there's symbiotic relationships. So let's check, how happy is your microbiome in your gut right now? 30. Okay, so that's the low guy. So that's the one where we can make the biggest effect. Let's see, that's a very brief cursory look at that. So I'm going to ask your body, let's do a little bit of TOLPAKAN healing. So that's the assessment. What is the number one reason that Sharon still has a little bit of autoimmunity, infections, gut lining not ideal, immune system's not ideal? Is it in TOLPAKAN Healing Guide 1? Yes. Guide 2, Guide 3. Okay, so I have these little guides in my TOLPAKAN Level 1 training program. We have cheat sheets. It's not always on the cheat sheet, but most of the time it is. So we're going to see what the number one thing is for you. Is it in column A, column B, column C? Column C is the answer in an odd row or an even row? Even row. Is it row 2, row 4? Okay, energetic. Okay, so let's see, let's name them. Is it your production, energy production, no storage, no leakage? Yes. Okay, so the number one thing causing this not to be at ideal levels is energy leakage. Okay, so do you have an energy leakage source? Yes. Okay, how many? 4. Okay, so 4 energy leaks. Okay, and are any of them what's on this page energy, what we call energy suckers? I'm getting a yes. How many energy suckers out of the 4? All 4 energy suckers. Okay, and are they for this body and timeline? Yes. Okay, and when did you get them? Were you less than 20, 20 to 30? Yes. 20 to 25? Yes. Were you age 20, 21 to 22? Did you get all 4 at age 22? Yes. Okay, I'm not sure what was happening at age 22, and if it's personal, you don't have to reveal it, but do you remember anything where that would make sense? Like, were
Absolutely.
you,
I
okay,
don't know about all 4. I definitely put 1 or 2 and possibly 2. I'm a little confused on all 4. I'd have to think about it, but
well, it's
definitely
not 4
1.
events. It could be one stress that or trauma that you were going through that made your energy body susceptible to having energy suckers attached to you.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Okay,
22 is
so
exact.
now
I'm a
sometimes
little
energy.
stunned but you're right. Age 22 is exact.
Okay. Now it can be give or take a year. I'm glad that there is some correlation. Otherwise, I'll really look like a crazy person. But
I'm a little.
you're speechless.
I've read your work. We've talked before. I believe in it, and yet you're like 22, and I'm like, oh my gosh. If she had asked me to give a number, I would have said 22. And we had not
Okay.
shared this community. This is not something that Karen knows. So
No, I actually don't. I don't. And here's the thing is I'm not coming up with the answers. I'm just asking the question and then getting the answers from the quantum, the 0 point field, source, God, whatever people want to call that space of field of information. We can all tap into it. Now, it does help to not be attached to the outcome, right? Because I don't know you that well. It's actually easier.
Yeah, and I have to say that about my own coaching, which is not health coaching, it's other kinds of coaching. I prefer not to know a lot about the
Yeah,
person from the person or at
right.
all, because then I have a clearer field of vision.
Exactly. Okay, so these energy suckers, now let me just test, are they from a human? No. Okay, so the energy suckers were placed in your field by a negative energy field or a negative intelligence. Some people call them a spirit. It's not a big deal because people have them, but oftentimes it's usually during a low point in our lives when we can become susceptible. Now, the really cool thing is we can heal that now. Are you up for that?
Oh, absolutely. That's been a while ago, Karen. Let's get it. Let's get
Okay,
going.
yeah, time is immaterial here. So let's have you just go ahead and feel the body. Okay, actually, let me do one more assessment before we do that. Okay, all four in the neck area, which is not unusual actually. Anywhere else? No. Okay, neck area. So that can affect the thyroid. That can affect just thyroid in you. And where else? Anywhere else? Seventh chakra. Oh, sorry. 13th chakra system, seventh chakra, and the seventh chakra system is the fifth chakra. So yeah, your ability to be heard and seen and speaking, which of course you're doing wonderfully right now, right? Like just being on camera and speaking your truth, and which is fantastic, healing that area. So what I'm going to have you do is just for the sake of TV kind of thing, just place your hand on this area and
Does
just
it matter which
focus on the
hand?
feeling. Yeah, just the feeling of there. And I'll have you repeat the TOPAKAN Healing directive with me. So we're going to have the positive intention of getting rid of or erasing these energy suckers. So I'm just going to have you put your hand on there and follow me. I now command
I now command
these energy suckers
these energy suckers
be deleted, dissolved, and uncreated,
be deleted, dissolved, and uncreated,
and the holes filled with high vibrational love and light,
and the holes filled with vibration and love and light,
and the end sealed with love
and the end sealed with love
in the highest and best way,
in the highest and best way,
all directions of time,
all directions of time,
with ease, speed, and grace. Thank you.
with ease, speed, and grace. Thank you.
Awesome. Now, when we do TOPAKAN healing, the healer can say it for the client, or the person can say it themselves. It's really about the intention and just continue feeling energy in the body. So let's just check. Of the four energy suckers, how many are left? 0. Okay, is it more than 0? No. Okay, awesome. Let me get some feedback from you. How are you feeling right now in the body? You may or may not notice anything, but just in case.
What's interesting is right where I'm touching is, I'll say, is getting cooler. I don't know how else to describe it. It's not cold, but it feels like the temperature of that part of my body is different than like this, my shoulders and the surrounding area. And it feels more flexible. I don't know. I think that's a difficult word to describe too, but it feels less stiff.
Yeah, like maybe freer.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, that's great.
more mobile.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. That's great feedback. Yes, and obviously you're very in tune with your body now, so that's awesome. Let's go ahead and do a recheck. Now, of course, this is one out of a number of things potentially, but let's just do a recheck on that mini assessment and see if we've made a difference. Okay, so physical autoimmunity, has that changed? Yes. Okay, you were 2, 1. Okay, so that went to 1, from 2 to 1. How about an energetic autoimmunity? You were 4, 4, 3, 2, 1, 1. Okay, 4 to 1. How about emotional? Sorry, that was emotional. Emotional autoimmunity, 4, 3, 2, 1, 1. Energetic autoimmunity, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ooh, 0, nice. Energetic autoimmunity, 0 at the moment. Yes, great. Spiritual autoimmunity is 0 too. Yes. Is dimensional autoimmunity 0? No. Okay, 1, 2, it's 1. It went from 6 to 1. You got a 0 on energetic and spiritual. That's really cool. Okay, and is your physical immune system any happier? Yes. You were 80. Where are you now? 95. That's awesome. And what about the energy immune system? I'm getting a yes. How happy is that? It was 70 before. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 98%. Nice. Nice. Much better. Okay. And can we heal the microbiome? Yes. Okay. So let's go ahead. Let's have you do this one again. Just in this case, let's put your hand on your belly,
Okay.
like you're saying hi to those guys. And repeat after me.
I now command that my microbiome
Be completely healed and optimized.
be completely healed and optimized
in the highest and best way,
in the highest and best way,
all directions of time,
all directions of time,
with speed, ease, and grace. Thank you.
with speed, ease, and grace. Thank you.
Awesome. So just take a moment to feel the body. Let me recheck. 30, 6. Okay, so the microbiome went from 30 to 80% happy. Does it have to process, or something else needs to heal first before it can heal? Okay, it does need to process. So sometimes there's some time involved that things reshift, like having new software in your computer and it needing to reboot is like that. For example, if you were either, say, a student in the TOPAKAN level 1 healing program or a client of mine, I would be giving you home play, right? To just check in to see how happy that microbiome is and following it, and perhaps doing some more directives if that's what's aligned to help it. We can muscle test things to eat, things not to eat, certain tools, whether that be for the highest degree is good, yes, no. Are you hydrated enough? Do you have enough minerals? There's all sorts of questions you can ask with divine muscle testing. It's just all around using that skill set. And eventually, we won't need any of this because we will be fully 100% conscious all the time. And we just think something and it'll heal. So that's what we're coming to. And so this is very exciting, and well done on your mini healing today.
Well,
Sharon, how are
thank
you
you.
feeling?
Actually, more comfortable. Yeah, less. I was a little stressed when we started, and then we had the internet hiccup, which actually stressed me a little bit. Actually, feeling much more relaxed. That's interesting. That's fascinating.
Yeah, you do seem more relaxed and even a little bit more grounded.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
I'm actually feeling the chair I'm sitting on.
that's
So,
great. That's great. Thanks for being the demo. I know sometimes you have no idea what I'm going to be saying. So well done for being so vulnerable and open to help everyone else understand things.
oh, absolutely. This is so exciting to learn and understand. And we're just about out of time. Anything we haven't asked that you would like to share? And then we'll talk about your books and your latest one about the sensitivity as your superpower.
Yeah, I have a little community. It's free to join. It's called the Light Medicine Community. We have like free events there. I do a light medicine newsletter every week and a little YouTube video, just like the news, but in a positive way. Of what's happening, energetically on the planet. And then I have a podcast as well. And when you join the community, we have a little calendar and you can see all the different offerings that we have. And then people just come in and ask questions, or they just receive whatever. I give a lot of free stuff. This week, actually, as of this moment, there's something called the Peace Emerging Protocol, because we've noticed some people have been really frazzled since the elections in the US. So the Peace Emerging Protocol is just a little energy infused video and audio that people can play and follow along like a meditation. Is the difference is that Topacan energy is actually infused in there. So that community is free to join at karencan.com/LMC free. That stands for Light Medicine Community free, and it's free to join. We'd love to welcome everyone there. Introduce yourself when you first come in. And then the book, my big book here, Sensitivity is Your Superpower, that really helps you hone in some of your superpowers. Some are sensing superpowers, some are creating superpowers, and some are literally healing superpowers. It's not Topican healing per se, that's like a complete different course, but it gives like a kind of a grand introduction for sensitive souls to really respect and honor and love who they are, because you're full of light, and love to see everyone shine to be who they really are so we can more quickly heal this planet.
Oh, absolutely. And I love that everyone has the opportunity to explore at their own pace and be able to give themselves space and grace as they learn more about themselves. Oftentimes, I know, at least in certain communities, this is shied, put over there, like we don't want to talk about that. And I love that you're bringing it out to the larger world in the community so all the sensitive people can say, yes, there's nothing wrong with me. This is the way I was brought into the world and the work I'm meant to do.
Yeah.
So everyone that's Karen Can, it's Kan is how she spells her last name, Karen, Karen, Kan, and it's karencan.com. And go over there and get her latest book, as well as join the free community. It's amazing. Lots of information and like-minded people, which is always great to find community and people who understand. And everyone, have a great week, whatever your adventures, and join me next week for another brand new episode. Enjoy.